A blackout doesn't start as a health crisis. At first, it feels like an inconvenience. The lights go out. The internet stops working. Maybe the water pressure drops. People assume it's temporary. Something that will be fixed in a few hours. So they wait, they light candles, check their phones, try to pass the time, but as hours turn into days, something else begins to change, not all at once but gradually, and most people don't notice it happening, because the real impact of a long-term blackout isn't just the absence of electricity. It's the slow breakdown of the systems that depend on it. Refrigeration stops working, medications that require cooling like insulin begin to lose stability. Food starts to spoil. Not immediately, but enough to become questionable, and that creates the first layer of risk, not obvious danger but uncertainty. Is this still safe to eat? Is this medication still effective? People start making small decisions under uncertainty, and those decisions begin to accumulate. Water systems are next. Without electricity, filtration and pumping systems become unreliable. Clean water becomes harder to access. And when water quality drops, something else rises quietly. Infections, not dramatic at first, minor stomach issues, mild dehydration, things people try to manage on their own, but without proper sanitation, small issues don't always stay small, and this is where the pattern begins to shift, because now, the environment itself starts influencing health. Then comes temperature. In extreme heat, the body struggles to cool itself. In cold conditions, it struggles to retain warmth. Without climate control, people are exposed to conditions they're not used to managing, and again, the effects are gradual: fatigue, headaches, discomfort, until they become heat exhaustion, hypothermia. Situations that require intervention, but intervention may not be available. At the same time, access to medical care becomes limited. Hospitals may still exist, but they're under pressure, overcrowded, under-resourced. Response times increase. What used to be immediate help becomes delayed help, and that delay changes how situations evolve. A minor injury, something simple like a cut, becomes more significant, not because the injury itself is severe, but because the environment around it has changed. Less sanitation, less access to proper care, higher risk of infection. So something that would normally resolve quickly now requires more attention. This is the hidden layer most people don't consider. The real issue isn't the blackout itself. It's how many invisible systems fail alongside it. The real issue isn't losing electricity. It's losing the structure that keeps small problems from becoming bigger ones, because modern life is built on invisible support: clean water, stable temperature, reliable medication, immediate care. When those disappear, people are forced to manage things they've never had to think about before, and that's where frustration builds, because people don't just lose comfort, they lose predictability. They don't know what's safe, what's risky, what needs attention and what doesn't. So they start reacting. They ration food without understanding spoilage. They use water without knowing its quality. They delay treatment, hoping things improve. Some decisions help, others make things worse, and the difference between the two isn't effort. It's understanding. That's the turning point. The real issue isn't the blackout. It's the lack of awareness about how health risks evolve during it, because in long-term blackouts, problems don't appear as emergencies, they develop as chains. One small issue leading to another. Spoiled food leads to stomach problems. Water contamination leads to infection, heat leads to dehydration, minor injuries lead to complications. Individually, each seems manageable; together, they create pressure, and people who handle these situations better aren't reacting to each problem separately. They're recognizing the pattern early. They understand that when systems fail, the threshold for risk changes. Things that were once minor now require more attention. Things that were once safe now require verification, and that shift changes behavior. They become more deliberate, more observant, not because they have more resources but because they understand how the environment is changing the rules. That awareness doesn't eliminate risk, but it reduces avoidable mistakes, because in these situations, the biggest problems often don't come from extreme events. They come from small decisions made without understanding the bigger picture. If you want a more structured way to think through these scenarios, how to identify risks early, how to manage health situations when systems are unstable, and how to avoid the most common mistakes people make during long-term disruptions, there's a practical guide linked in the description that goes deeper into this. You can also subscribe if you want more videos that focus on understanding these situations clearly, instead of reacting to them when it's already too late, because when you understand how the system breaks down, you can adjust before the consequences show up.